Hello guys. New vlog series. We're gonna talk about from here till October 31st. I hope if that's when I plan on the last episode being. If I'm off by something, I guess I'll just do something to fix that. But that's the plan is to have to do this. I wanted to do this for a while now. I did watch the show once about quite a few years ago, actually. I think I was still in high school. It was on the Sci-Fi Network. I watched all 13 episodes, recorded them through DVR or whatever. I watched all of them. So I have seen them before. Usually when I do this, I usually watch or slash rewatch the show and then do it. Unfortunately, I tried looking the show up on YouTube. They only have 8 episodes, like, there out of the 13, and they're all cut in half, and one of them is missing a part. So I decided I was either, if I was going to do this, I was either going to be able to watch all of them, or I'm just going to go straight to memory. I'm not going to do half and half because I just feel like it kind of makes it feel a little weird to go back to someone at all. I'd rather just pick one or the other. So I'm just going to go based on memory. I usually don't like to do this, but given and the sad part is this is not a tough this wouldn't have been a tough series to do it with because each episode is like 20 to 30 minutes. There's only 13 of them. It actually would have been really quick to do it, but it's not there. On the show, I seen the show covered once or twice by a couple different people, but not to this extent. um so I'm looking forward to that. Now, of course, if at some point in the future they do become available somewhere, I will rewatch them, and I can do maybe like a Fenn recommends episode just about the show in general, just a little bit more details. Maybe if I miss something I'm covering here, then I rewatch it. So that's a possibility in the future. I have covered TV shows in that format before, um, so it's a possibility. The only thing to keep in mind with this when I'm doing this is the fact that it is based through my memory, so I'm gonna do the best I can with it, but just I might do a little bit more synopsis reading, so there might be some spoilers just to kind of help jog my memory about it, because I can remember things well when it's jogged. So today we're gonna start with the first episode of the series, which is "Don't Forget Me." This one came out in August 31st, 2001. It's TVY7, has an 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb with about 66 user votes. It's directed by, actually no, it stars Amanda Bynes. This show had a lot of cool guest stars in it. Amanda Bynes, we know from the Amanda Show and whatnot, and also stars, let's see, what's a good one? Daniel Hansen, who was, who, see, it is blank. I'm not getting anything from this guy at all, so let's pick a different person. Um, Rami Windsor plays, I think, the mom, maybe? What was she in? She played Kimberly in Face Off. Interesting. That's interesting. She was actually in some movie called Camp Nowhere, which is actually a title of, I think it's a title of one of the episodes, or at least something in one of the episodes. So that's ironic there. So that's interesting that she's in that. So, and the episode was directed by David Jackson, who was, what else did he work on? He did TV episodes for the Equalizer TV show, the older one, the original. So, pretty much what this episode is about. So let's take a look at that first and foremost. Now, most of the stories here aren't based on R.L. Stine books. However, this one kind of is. Ironically, the pilot is, or the first one here. So when Daniel and her, I'm reading a little bit from the synopsis just to help jog. They move into their new house, a family, and the one Danielle, man Vines, doesn't know that her annoying younger brother Peter hears voices calling in the basement. And it's a kind of miscommunication, and she tries hypnotizing him to turn him nicer because she thinks he's being a little shit. But and she starts forgetting things too and wondering if something else is going on. And then all of a sudden, people start denying they know her brother, and she starts noticing like a bunch of stuff. It's actually a really interesting episode, and there's a subliminal messaging, very quick, not subliminal messaging, but they're a little kind of little mini message. I don't know what they were going for with it. Whether it was just a throwaway, if they were trying to get a message across. But the message of like getting trapped, escaping, and then deciding they want to go back. It's kind of one of those things. The house is kind of like sucks people in kind of thing. It's hard to describe without giving away stuff, but it's an interesting episode. I do like it because it is an interesting mystery. It's kind of typical like Stein stuff. The one thing about this series is the fact that it's trying to be like Are You Afraid of Dark and try to appeal to a somewhat more mature crowd, not like super mature, but more like instead of like little kids to like middle school, more like middle to high school kind of thing. So they were kind of going for more of that, which I appreciate that they were trying something different with that for the audience. The thing with this episode, I think the biggest thing about this episode I like is kind of more towards the end when when someone ends up going back to where they were before, and it's a thing like I've been wanting to go back forever because I don't like being out of it. It's kind of like one of those messages of like one of those things of like you get taken away from where like it's kind of like kidnapping Stockholm syndrome kind of thing. It's like you had an original life, you were taken, then you finally broke free, and everything's gone that you knew, so you decide you want to go back. It's kind of like one of those things, and it's kind of, and the thing is that all that is in one, like towards the end, that one thing, and that part always sticks out to me most. The rest is typical stuff. I mean, definitely very Are You Afraid of the Darkest. James Avery, who was in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he does the scary announcer voice in the beginning of each episode, in beginning and closing. That's great. I love the intro to this series as well. I think the only issue I have with this episode is the fact that there's not really the. I think the episode is a bit creepy. There are some interesting moments in this series that I do like. I think, but to be honest, I think this one, I think that's what I was missing. The biggest thing with this episode is that it doesn't feel like the first one. You know, it doesn't have that impact of being the first. It's not like Goosebumps where the first one was that epic two-parter haunted mask thing. It was kind of like just here's an episode that could have aired anytime. And speaking of which, this show did have issues of episodes airing kind of randomly and on in kind of random spread out dates. So from the get go, it was kind of struggle. It did win an award for sound editing from somewhere, but I forgot where. And also, even though this is technically based on a book, they did make changes too, so that kind of says something there. Um, Speaking of, I mean, the acting and all that stuff, that's typical Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of Dark like stuff. It's kind of you kind of know what you're getting into. If you watch shows like Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of Dark, it's pretty much gonna be that. The only real thing is I think the acting might be actually the best of the acting might actually be in this because it is a little bit more mature core, and they use a lot of guest star power. They use a lot of established known people that you would probably know if you watched through the show, that you would know a good chunk who's in this. And we'll go through who guest stars episode by episode. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. And the stories are interesting. Like, I never heard of a story like this. Maybe kind of like this, but not framed, because the way they shot and framed, they can feel genuinely you know, kind of like ew. But I think the biggest issue with this episode is that it doesn't impact like a first episode should. It feels more like a solid like middle of the season kind of episode. So that's just something to keep in mind. But other than that, it's fine. it's definitely, I find it definitely interesting, but I think compared to a lot of episodes, it's kind of on the simple side a little bit, to be honest. I mean, I kind of like the idea of people forgetting, the idea of being forgotten, trying to go back and end up going back to where you were taken to begin with, kind of thing. Kind of gives it kind of like just a never-ending search to a place you would feel at home with. You know, losing something, trying to get it back, realize, kind of like that, only much kind of a melancholy feel. I might be reading too much into something like this. I mean, keep in mind it's been a long time since I saw this. I'm just going by memory, but it's just interesting. It's interesting to think about. Like, I don't know. It's like it's definitely interesting. And keep in mind, this is only like a 30-minute episode, so they throw a lot at you. The pace is pretty quick. It doesn't waste any time. So yeah, I think the only thing left to say is that I say it's a good watch. I don't think there's. I'm just gonna say this. There's not really a whole lot of episodes I would skip, and there's so few of them, and none of them are that bad at all. A lot of them are actually pretty decent for the most part. So I'm just gonna say up front that you probably are just better off just watching the whole series if you get your hands on it. Yeah. So there's not much else I can say. It's solid, good beginning, and we'll talk about the second one next time. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. In case you wanted to chat with me, Mike, or anyone else at the Campy Company, you don't want to use the YouTube comment section, we do have a couple options. The first one is we have a Discord channel. You can find a link to that in About page / About section of our channel. We also have a discussion tab in our channel as well, and connects that through a PC or laptop computer. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the videos, and have a good day.